Hello, this is a presentation from Kusu Consult to the Moonbeam Network. In this presentation, we'll be seeing how to deploy a demo voting contract on Moonbase Alpha using Remix, the online code compiler, and React.js. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so heading over to remix.ethereum.org, we're going to write our smart contract and compile. So create a new file, voter.sol. Okay, so let's get started. Going to be using Solidity version 0.8.0. Okay. So we'll name our contract voter and we'll have a variable candidate count. This is to keep track of how many candidates have been created. And this will be 0 by default. Okay. Next we'll have the structure. Our candidate. Okay. So we'll have the candidate name, then the candidate image URL. And we have the count, that's the number of votes being casted for the candidate. Okay. We'll have a mapping. We're mapping each candidate with an ID and index. Candidates. Okay. So next we have a function to add the candidate. So we'll have the name, memory, and also the image URL. Okay. So the public. So by default the count will be 0, signifying no vote has been casted yet. Okay. On the mapping, candidate. Have the name, image, and the number of votes casted, which is the count. Okay. Then after adding a candidate, you update the candidate count. Alright. So to compile this, okay, select the file, compile. Okay, looks like it compiled successfully. Um, SPX license identifier. Okay, I think I'll just ignore that. Now let's try and deploy the contract. Here we'll be using JavaScript virtual machine just to see how whether it works or not. So deploy. Okay. Can see a contract is being deployed here. So we'll try and add a candidate. Add test candidate for the name. Okay. HTTP test.com. This is just for trial purposes. Okay. Going to transact. Okay. So if you check our terminal down here, looks like that particular function was executed successfully. So let's try another one. Candidate 2 here. Hit transact. Okay. So we've added two candidates. Okay, so let's try and pass to view our candidate. So the first candidate have index of 0. Let's display. Can start successful, have the address ending, the contract address, and the name, the image URL, and the vote count. Okay. And for the second candidate also, yes, that works fine. Displaying the candidate. Okay. Let's go ahead and try to cast a vote. So we'll be voting for candidate with index of 0. Cast a vote. Okay, that's successful here. So if we get a candidate index 0 here, okay, so you can see that the vote count has updated to 1. Okay, so if we cast the vote again, you can see that it has been updated to 2. So our smart contracts works just fine. Next we'll be using React to build a front end for our demo contract tab. Okay, so before we start building the front end, okay, we want to deploy this contract to Moonbase Alpha, so we'll be able to call it from our React tab. So I've already made a video on that before, but to a recap, you install MetaMask. Okay, that's go to metamask.io and install the Chrome extension. And once that's installed, you head over to settings, then networks, and click on add network. Okay, so here you'll be able to add on the parameters for the Moonbase Alpha network here. The network name will be Moonbase Alpha. The RPC param HTTP //RPC or API dot moonbase dot moonbeam dot network. Okay, the chain ID will be 1287. Symbol will be dev. The block explorer will be // dot scan. Okay, so I'm getting an error message here. That's because I've already added the Moonbase Alpha network to my MetaMask. But if you are setting it up for the first time, these are the parameters you use, and you want to go ahead and click on save here. Okay, so once that's done, you copy your wallet address, then head over to the Moonbeam Discord server where there is a faucet bot there and can get some test tokens. Okay, so next go back to MetaMask. Okay, you click on this icon here and you search for Moonbeam plugin and you click on activate here. Okay, and it shall have a pop-up like this. Okay, so click on connect. This will connect to our Moonbase Alpha network here. You can see at the balance I have 4.7 test tokens here. Okay, so try a compiler again, which was successful. Okay, next we'll deploy and it pop up here. And we'll confirm this is still pending. Okay, so next we create a function to get the candidate count. Candidate. Okay, so this function just returns whatever value is being stored in this variable here, the candidate count. Okay, so we public view only returns is returning an integer. So we'll then return the candidate count. Okay. Okay, so we've succeeded in deploying this smart contract here on the Moonbase Alpha test network. Okay. So we can either choose to interact from the remix directly here, or we interact using a front end, that's which we'll be using React to do. Okay. Okay, so next we're heading over to our terminal. Create a folder. Let's name the folder Moonwood. Okay. So we'll be cloning a boilerplate for Moonbeam. I'll be posting a link in description. We'll clone. Okay, once that's done, we'll go ahead and cd into the boilerplate and install the dependencies. Okay, so once that's done, we'll open the boilerplate our code editor using Atom here and we'll edit the file. Okay, how about HTML syntax here? The title will be Moonwood. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and import some Bootstrap, CSS, and jQuery. Okay, so I have our link to Bootstrap CSS here. And also uh, some links to jQuery scripts. I have that here. Okay. Okay. So next we'll have our navbar. a div class navbar. I'm going to make it dark. Background dark. Okay. Um, we're going to have this in the navbar. Have the class container. Okay. So I'll move it here, and then we'll have a span that will contain the balance. So this balance is going to get from the number of tokens we have in our Moonbase alpha address. Okay, so the default here will be 0. So every time we get the balance from the address, we'll update it here. Okay. Next, we're going to have a button that will allow us to add candidates. Okay, so the button on click is going to trigger a modal form. Okay, so our container. Okay, so I have a button type will be button. Okay, I have a class. Take this off for now. BTN BTN primary. Okay. Okay, so this button you have data toggle. Okay, it's supposed to toggle the modal form modal here, and the target to be a modal, and the ID of the modal here. So be the candidate modal. Okay, so I'm going to create a modal with ID candidate so that this button will trigger the modal form. Okay, and on the button we have add candidate. Okay. Okay, so next I'm going to be using bootstrap modal forms. Okay, so I can just grab that and edit. Okay, so yeah, here we have our modal form. We has the ID candidate modal, which is the ID we are calling from here. Okay, and then our modal form has the title. Modal title here will be moon vote candidate. Okay, so the form will have the name of the candidate with ID candidate name. Okay, and then the image with the ID, and yes, that's basically it. To creating to adding our candidate, and finally we have a button to add the candidate. Okay, so and finally from this page, having the main section. Okay, here I'll give it an ID main, and class. So okay, so next we'll head back to our JavaScript file, so we'll be able to interact with the contract. Okay, so next we are going to our JavaScript file. Yeah, okay. First we are going to import web3 from web3. Okay. Next, we are going to import our contract API. Okay. This from we're trying to import this file here. Even though for now it's empty. So to get the API, going back to our remix ID. Okay. So from the deployment page here, and click on this API here to copy our contract API, and head back to editor and paste it here. Okay. So we are going to create a contract instance. A contract. Okay. We'll come back to this subsequently, and also we'll have an empty array which will come back to this later. Okay. So now get our contract address. Address. Okay. So to get our contract address, we'll go back to Remix editor and copy this deployment address here. Okay. Let's copy this and paste here. Okay. So the first function we're going to create here is to connect our wallet. Okay. So to connect our wallet, I have an asynchronous function. Okay. So we are going to check if window or Ethereum. I can check if there's like also you are using a MetaMask wallet. Okay. So if there is a wallet like that, it's available, then we proceed. I'll create a new Web3 instance. Okay, so Web3 will be new into there. Okay, so next thing we'll try to connect to the wallet window.ethereum.enable. Okay, so create a contract will be web3 dot contract. Okay, so our contract parameters will be the contract API and the contract address. Okay, so if that doesn't work, okay, so our catch clause now, in case of bugs, so we'll just log the error. Okay, or else going to alert. Let's tell the user you have to install MetaMask. Okay, so that's that. So the next function I'm going to be creating is the get candidate function. Okay, so here I'll be calling the get candidate function on the smart contract to display the candidates that have already been added. Okay, call this get candidates smart asynchronous function. Okay, so first we want to get the number of candidates that have been added. So we'll call this count. Okay, here we are going to be calling this get candidate count function here from the smart contract. Okay. So we'll be calling the contract here contract dot methods get candidate count. Okay, dot call I'm going to have a variable candidate. So this will be an empty array for now. So I'm going to loop through the total number of candidates that have been added. Okay. So for let I be 0, so I less than account. Okay, and increment I plus plus. So for each candidate, select candidate. Okay, we are creating a new promise here. Okay, that is also reject. Okay. So in the promise, select P. We'll be calling the display candidate function from the smart contract. Await contract dot display candidates. Okay, so from the display candidates contract here, you can say I'm passing the index of the candidate. Okay, so the index here will be I from the loop, and we'll be calling the function. Okay, and we now resolve so the index of the candidate will be I, and the name of the candidate will be P1, P of 1. The image URL will be P2, and the vote count will be P3. Okay, so from our smart contract here, so it's displaying candidates. Okay, so this will be P of 0. Okay, that's the address, and P of 1 will be the name, P of 2 will be the image, and P of 3 will be the voter count. Okay. So if that's done, we'll now push all the candidates there. Okay. Okay, so for each of the candidates, we get the index, the name, and the vote count. Okay. Then from the candidates array here, now push each candidate there. And finally, our candidates will now be to upgrade promise.all. Okay. So if all of this is successful without any bugs, then our candidates will be the entirety the of each candidate. Okay. Then if that's done, we'll call a function render candidate, which will get to. Okay. Okay. So next we are going to be creating a candidate. Okay. And for this document dot query selector. Okay. So we'll be getting the ID. Okay, so from this modal form here, so on click once the button is being clicked, that's after you fill in your parameters here, you're getting this ID, which is the add candidate, add can ID, add can. Okay, after getting body, now add an event listener. Add event. This now be click. That's on click. Going to this function should run. Okay, let's make some space here. We're going to try. We're going to try and get accounts. Okay. From the available wallet, okay, the accounts we are going to be working with. Name this account. Let's pick the first account. Okay. So you're going to be getting the parameters for the creating candidate function. Okay. So we'll call these params. So the params are getting the value from the modal form, that's the candidate name and the candidate image URL, as from this modal form here, these IDs here. Okay. Then we'll be calling the add candidates function. Save it as result. Okay, we have contract dot methods. Okay, so we'll be calling the add candidate. So from the smart contract, I see that the add candidate function takes in two parameters, name and the image area. Okay. So we'll be passing in the params here. Okay. Okay, and then we'll be calling this function. We'll be writing to the smart contract to the blockchain. So we'll be sending. Okay, we're writing to the blockchain. We are sending, but if we are retrieving from the blockchain, that's when we use the call function. Okay, so we'll be using this account here to send this transaction to the smart contract. Okay, so in case of an error, once catch the error, uh just console.log the error. Okay, and then after that we just we call the get candidate function. Clear the white spaces. Okay, okay, so in summary, we get the ID of the modal button, that's add candidate. So on click, I'm going to retrieve the default account. This is the first account here. So we get the parameters from the modal form. Then we send to the add candidate function in smart contract from the default account. Okay, that will be creating a new candidate, and if that's done, we'll now get the list of candidates available. Okay, okay. So next, we are writing a function to get the balance from our wallet balance just displayed on the page. Okay, I'm going to name this get balance. So same function. Okay, so we get the account, get a default account here. Okay, so our create a variable balance. I'll be calling. Oh, I'll wait. I'm getting the balance of our account here, the default account. Okay, I'm going to edit from this system over here. Okay, so this balance here, we are going to edit from the default 0 to whatever the address wallet address balance is. Okay, now document output. So we are going to get balance there and edit the text content. The text content will be whatever value we retrieve from here. Okay. Okay, so next we're going to have the render candidate function. So I need to display each candidate we've already created. Okay. So just okay. So render candidate function, right? So we get the main tag. Okay, that's this main tag. Okay. Then we now the inner HTML will clear everything inside. We want to loop through each candidate as these candidates we've we've gotten from the contract that have been added. After we look through each of the candidates, we create a new div for each of the candidates. Okay, and we create a class, new div with the class colon empty4. Okay, then for each candidate, the content of the div will be this candidate template which we are going to create next. Okay, so we have a function candidate template. Okay, so this function is going to have a parameter as the candidate, and this just returns okay, so this just returns, so it returns this template here. Okay, so we have the so for from the candidate here. Okay, so you're looking for each of the candidates. You're going to return the candidate image, that's the picture, then candidate name and the vote count, candidate vote count. Okay, then it's going to have a button here. So the button here on click, it's going to update the number of votes by one. Okay, yeah, so we have a div, then an image tag which has the candidate image, then h2 class header 2 which has the name and the vote count, and the index and anchor tag, which if you click on the button, you're going to be voting for the particular candidate of with the particular index. Okay, and then lastly for the voting functionality, so document.query selector. Okay, so we're getting the main ID. So we'll be adding an event list now. Event list now, we're adding it click. Okay, so on click, we are going to, this function is going to run. Okay, okay. So I'm going to have an if statement. So if the target or class name wherever we are clicking, if it includes a vote btn, that's a vote button. Okay, then we'll have a index. So it'll be e dot target dot id. Okay, so we're getting the id, that's this index. Remember that the vote btn which we created here, so if it's been clicked, we're going to get the id which is the index of the candidate and save it to this index variable here. Okay, so next we're going to try. Okay, we will get our account and we'll call the cast vote function contract dot method dot cast vote. Okay, so we're passing in the index to dot send. We'll be sending from our default account here. Okay, and in case of an error, we then catch the error, just log the error. Okay, so that's that. And then last finally we have window. So add it when listener. Okay, so once the page loads, I want to first of all connect our wallet. Okay, so just alert connected. Okay, then we'll get balance and we'll get the candidate. Okay, so let's head over to the terminal and run. Okay, so head back to the terminal and run the code. Npm run dev. Okay, so it looks like compiled successfully. Uh, head over to localhost. Okay, so it says it's connected. Okay, so here we got the balance from our wallet address here. You can see 4.79. Okay, so yeah, this is 4.7 or things like that. So let's try and add a candidate. Okay, so let's say Spider-Man. Let's get a picture. Okay, yeah, so let's try adding this. Okay, so since you are sending a contract, have a pop-up whether to approve the transaction. So we'll confirm. Let's close this. So you can, if you check under the activity, you can see there is a contract transaction pending. Wait for it to be done. Okay, so it's done, and here we can see Spider-Man, and the default row count here is 0. You can go ahead and add another candidate here uh, to be Batman. Okay, let's add this. And asking us to approve. Let's confirm. Okay, so we have a transaction on queue here. So wait for it to be done. Okay, so transaction successful. So we have picture of Batman here. So let's try and vote here for Batman. So and click here, will pop up to confirm the transaction. So let's confirm. It's pending. The cast vote function is pending. Okay, so yeah, see here the transaction was successful. Let's try and refresh the page. Okay, it's connected the balance, and yes, see it updated the vote count to 1 here. Okay, so it's, yeah, the whole DApp is working fine. So you can make a few modifications maybe after clicking the vote here. it will disable the button here so you don't vote more than once, and you can choose to add more candidates also. That's all for the tutorial. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.